In the Gospel of John, Jesus makes 7 incredible I am statements about who he is. Today, we're diving into what might just be the most intimate of them all, the true vine. It's this powerful picture of our connection to God, and to really get it, we have to start with the words themselves. Right there in John chapter 15, verse 1, he says this to his closest friends, just hours before the cross. This one sentence is absolutely packed with meaning. But here's the thing. To really feel the weight of what he's saying, we can't just stay in that room with them. We have to go back, way back, into the story of Israel.
You see, for the Jewish people, the vine was so much more than just a plant. It was a huge, sacred symbol of their national identity. It was who they were. God's chosen vineyard, planted in the world to produce good fruit.
But when you actually trace this symbol through the Old Testament, you start to see this really tragic pattern emerge. In Psalm 80, Israel is this beautiful vine God rescued. But then you get to Isaiah chapter 5, and God looks at his vine and finds nothing but worthless wild grapes. And by Jeremiah chapter 2, God is heartbroken, saying his choice vine has turned corrupt. It's this repeated story of, failure. Okay, so that's the backdrop. The disciples, they knew this story of failure inside and out. Imagine that. Your national symbol is basically a symbol of a broken promise. So when Jesus stands up and declares, "I am the true vine," what is he possibly claiming?
What's happening here is a total game changer. It's a massive shift. Jesus isn't saying he's going to fix the old vine. He's claiming that the entire identity of God's people, an identity that was tied to a nation for centuries, is now found in one single person, himself.
You have to understand how radical this was. The whole center of God's plan shifts from a physical nation to a person. We're not talking about a stone temple anymore. We're talking about a living union. It's not about going through the motions of a ritual, but the real internal life that bears true fruit from a real relationship.
So, if Jesus is the vine, what does that make us? The branches, right? And that brings us right to the heartbeat of this whole passage, the command to abide. This word unlocks everything. So the Greek word here is μένω, and it's fantastic. It doesn't just mean to visit or, hang out nearby. It means to remain, to dwell, to live inside of a constant, active connection. It's all about a shared life, this deep, lasting presence that connects the branch to the vine in the most essential way you can imagine. And look, just in case we weren't paying attention, Jesus repeats this word 11 times in just 7 verses. 11! This is him saying, with everything he has, listen to me. This is the one thing you need to get. Your very life depends on this connection. And then he drops this line in verse 5. It's one of the most absolute statements of dependence in the entire Bible. Just let that sink in for a second. He doesn't say you can do less or it'll be a struggle. He says, you can do nothing. Nothing of any lasting spiritual value. And you might think, okay, he's just being dramatic, but he's not. The grammar in the original Greek is even stronger. It uses a double negative, uden, which in Greek doesn't cancel out. It actually makes the no even more emphatic. It's like the language itself is screaming, there is absolutely no way to do this on your own. It's grammatically and spiritually impossible. Okay, so all this talk about dependence might sound a little intense, but it's not meant to crush us. It's meant to give us life. Because the whole point of this connection, this abiding, is to bear fruit. And this is where the Father steps in as the vine dresser. Jesus says the Father prunes the branches that are bearing fruit so they'll bear even more. And this is where it gets really beautiful. The Greek word for prune is katheri. It has the exact same root as the word for clean, katharos. And just a moment before, in verse 3, Jesus had told them, you are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. What a picture, right? The Father's pruning isn't punishment. It's a loving act of cleaning us, accomplished through the very word of Christ. So you can see the flow here. It's just perfect logic. First, it's all about our total dependence on the vine for life and for fruit. Then that fruit gets defined, and it's primarily about loving each other. And finally, that supernatural love becomes our powerful witness to a world that doesn't understand it. And where does all this come from? Well, Jesus tells us right there in verse 9. Our love for other people isn't something we just have to invent on our own. It's an overflow of the very same love that flows from the Father to the Son. So the big takeaway here is that obedience isn't about gritting your teeth and just trying harder. It's about joyfully plugging into the very life and love of God himself.
So when we pull the camera all the way back, we see that what Jesus is saying here is so much more than just a nice metaphor. It's the answer. It's the long-awaited answer to a cry that's been echoing through his people's entire history. Think about it. For centuries, the scriptures were dropping hints, pointing to this exact moment. Way back in Genesis 49, there's a prophecy about a ruler connected to the blood of grapes. Isaiah 27 foretells a day when God's vineyard will finally flourish. And maybe most powerfully, Psalm 80 is just this desperate prayer for a Son of Man to come and restore God's broken, trampled vine. Jesus is the direct answer to that prayer.
So here's the bottom line. Jesus Christ is the true vine. In his own person, through his perfect life and obedience, he is everything the nation of Israel was always meant to be, but couldn't. He finally produces the good, righteous fruit that the old vine just couldn't.
And this is the final, incredible reality of it all. To abide in him, to be a branch on this vine, means we get grafted into a life that's far beyond our own. It's to share in his very life as the Son of God, to draw our strength, our purpose, our very breath from his perfect, unbroken union with the Father. It means we stop trying to live off our own, withered up resources, and instead we get to live from the endless, eternal life of the true vine himself.